Hey, welcome back to Undaunted Diaries with Mary. Today I'm going to talk about intuitive eating. Much of the information I'm going to speak on comes directly from this book called Intuitive Eating, developed by award-winning dietitian and nutritional therapist Evelyn Tribal and Elise Reich. As a disclaimer, I am not a therapist or dietitian. I have years of experience in eating disorder recovery and want to share and pass forward, which is good and helpful for others to recover as well. According to the National Eating Disorder Association, intuitive eating is a non-diet approach toward eating behaviors. It's about trusting your body to make food choices that feel good for you without judging yourself or the influence of diet culture. It is a process of unleashing the shackles of dieting, which can only lead to deprivation, rebellion, and rebound weight gain. As a person restricts, the body demands important nutrients being denied. The fight or flight stress response is activated, and a binge inevitably occurs to prepare the body for the next self-imposed famine. While restricting, the metabolism slows and key functions of the body decrease in productivity. You can live without hair, eyesight, strong fingernails, muscle, movement of your limbs, and certain organs, but you cannot live without your heart, brain, and lungs. As a binge happens, the nutrients from the food is dispersed throughout the body, favoring the vital organs first. Although we are all born innate intuitive eaters, Evelyn Tribal and Elise Reich established the 10 principles of intuitive eating. Reject the diet mentality, honor your hunger, make peace with food, challenge the food police, discover the satisfaction factor, feel your fullness, cope with your emotions with kindness, respect your body, exercise to feel the difference, or as I like to call, joyful movement, and gentle nutrition. A step toward eating intuitively involves unconditional permission to eat what you want, whenever you want, by learning to rely on your internal hunger and satiety cues to determine when, what, and how much to eat. Satiety is defined as the state of being completely satisfied, especially with food or pleasure, so that you cannot have any more. Part of the science behind eating intuitively involves interoceptive awareness, which is the ability to perceive physical sensations arising from within your body. It's a direct experience, a felt sense happening in the present moment. It's not the past or future, it's happening right now. Every emotion has a unique physical sensation in the body. When you recognize bodily sensations, it gives rise to powerful information to help get your psychological and biological needs met. The cultural challenge is that weight stigma, combined with the influences of authority in healthcare policies, has conditioned us to distrust our bodies and their cues. Rhonda Crick, a registered dietitian at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, explains, "Most people have this desire to lose weight because it's weaved into our culture to the point where if you're not trying to lose weight, that's seen as abnormal. Weight gain can be one of the side effects of dieting. Dieting can affect your metabolism, your ability to detect hunger and fullness, and make you feel anxious, guilty, or shameful about eating." The purpose of intuitive eating is to cultivate a healthy relationship with food, mind, and body by practicing normalized eating behaviors. It is a weight-neutral model, meaning the focus is not on body size, but rather on healing your relationship with food and developing an unconditional appreciation for your body. Several studies reveal it can predict future levels of health and well-being. By choosing a more relaxed approach and opinion about food, these results add up over time, making a person healthier, more socially integrated, effective, and resilient. One of the many physical benefits of these results include lower levels of the stress chemical cortisol and less inflammation. The most promising study to date asked the question, can patients with eating disorders learn to eat intuitively? The study's finding was a resounding yes. Practicing the intuitive eating method, there was improvement across the board in patients with anorexia, bulimia, and eating disorders not otherwise specified. However, it should be noted, undernourished brains may have difficulty in sensing hunger signals and slowed stomach emptying, which can lead to continual fullness and will not give an accurate endpoint to eating. With renourishment, these signals become more noticeable and reliable. In addition to helping people recover from eating disorders, emerging research suggests intuitive eating programs could be a valuable tool to improve blood sugar control. In children and adolescents with type 1 diabetes, there was an opposite relationship between hemoglobin A1C and intuitive eating scores. Intuitive eating may be even more effective for managing diabetes because people with diabetes are at a higher risk of developing eating disorders, and intuitive eating is associated with decreased risk of problematic eating. In Colossians 2:20-23, Paul warns us about the dangers of following deceptive teachings. He says, "You have died with Christ, and he has set you free from the spiritual powers of this world. So why do you keep on following the rules of the world, such as don't handle, don't taste, don't touch? Such rules are mere human teachings about things that deteriorate as we use them. These rules may seem wise because they require strong devotion, pious self-discipline, and severe bodily discipline, but they provide no help in conquering a person's evil desires." Mark 7, Jesus teaches his disciples about what really contaminates a person. The Pharisees and teachers of the law had a problem with this because it interfered with their ancient old traditions about what they were taught defiles a person. In Mark 7, 5-9, the Pharisees asked Jesus, "Why don't your disciples follow our age-old tradition? They eat without performing the hand-washing ceremony." Jesus replied, "You hypocrites! Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you, for he wrote, 'These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship is a farce, for they teach man-made ideas as commands from God. For you ignore God's law and substitute your own tradition.'" Then he said, "You skillfully sidestep God's law in order to hold on to your own tradition." Jesus is saying there was no God-given mandate requiring the washing of hands. This was a man-made custom. He continues to explain in Mark 7, 14-15. "Then Jesus called to the crowd to come and hear. 'All of you listen,' he said, 'and try to understand. It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes from your heart.'" Mark 7, 18-19, he continues to explain. "Don't you understand either?" he asked. "Can't you see that the food you put into your body cannot defile you? Food doesn't go into your heart, but only passes through the stomach and then goes into the sewer." By saying this, he declared that every kind of food is acceptable in God's eyes. Mark 7, 20-23, Jesus continues, "It is what comes from inside that defiles you. For from within, out of a person's heart, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, wickedness, deceit, lustful desires, envy, slander, pride, and foolishness. All these vile things come from within. They are what defile you." God cares more about why we do something than what we do. At the start of my intuitive eating journey, the therapist I had helped me decide my why for recovery. Why do I want to recover from eating disorders and disordered eating? Aside from wanting to stay alive and more present for my son, I wanted a Christ-centered relationship. I was motivated by the idea of being on a date or traveling to Europe without thoughts about food interfering with my experience. Everywhere Jesus went in the Bible, he was either on his way to a meal or going away from one. My flesh focus was limiting me to be fully led by the creativity of the Holy Spirit. I could not be led by a man without first letting Christ lead and heal me in singleness. In 1 Peter 3, 3-4, Peter tells us, "Don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourself instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God." You might be wondering, how can I rediscover my inner intuitive eater? First, know recovery is not linear. If you've gone years of yo-yo dieting and restricting, it will take time to reframe your thoughts about food. It is a practice requiring a lot of grace and compassion for yourself. God desires you to be at peace in every area of your life. You don't need to fix yourself up, lose 10 pounds, and then come to God. Come as you are and ask Him to show you how He sees you. As gold is purified through a refinement process, it is put under intense heat and pressure. The impurities rise and skimmed off the top, leaving pure gold. If you've lived under the deception of diet culture for a while, there will be discomfort in the refinement and reframing process. It is a pushing out of a graceless, all-or-nothing belief system. As we depend on Jesus more and more, He takes us from glory to glory. 2 Corinthians 3, 16-18 says, But whenever someone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. For the Lord is the Spirit, and wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. So all of us who have had that veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord, and the Lord, who is the Spirit, makes us more and more like Him as we are changed into His glorious image. Ask God what you need to do. I encourage finding an intuitive eating aligned dietitian to teach you more. In addition to many other references from today's episode linked in the description, there's resources for free online eating disorder support groups. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Next episode, I will talk more about the first of the 10 intuitive eating principles, reject the diet mentality. Thanks for watching. Be blessed, be filled, and be free. Bye.